You've probably already saved your first $10,000. You just never had all 10,000 at the same time. Maybe your savings went from 300 bucks to 900, then 1400, and for a second you thought, "Okay, this is finally working." Then the car needed something, insurance hit, a medical bill showed up, and suddenly you were back at $400 wondering why you keep restarting the same game. And that's the frustrating part. You might actually be pretty decent at saving money. The problem is that your money keeps breaking down at one of 3 points before it can become $10,000. First, you need enough room in your monthly cash flow to save consistently. Then, you need a way to capture that money before it disappears into normal life. And finally, you need to protect what you saved from expenses that keep dragging you backward. Create it, capture it, protect it. If one of those three pieces is broken, $10,000 can feel impossible even when you've been trying to save for years. The first problem is probably the least exciting one, but it can save you a ridiculous amount of frustration. Your savings goal might not fit your actual life. Say you take home $4,000 a month. Somewhere online, you hear that you should be saving 20%, or maybe you decide $1,000 a month sounds like a nice clean number. So that becomes the goal. $1,000 every month. Great. Very responsible. Future you is already impressed, except then rent happens, your car payment happens, insurance, groceries, gas, minimum payments, your phone bill, and the normal cost of being a functioning human all happen. And when you look at a real month, you're not sitting on an extra $1,000. You're sitting on maybe 500. So every month you try to save 1,000, life pulls 500 back out. Then you feel like you failed, even though the plan was mathematically broken before the month even started. That distinction matters. If your current life can reliably produce $500 of extra room each month, then $10,000 is about a 20-month goal. That doesn't mean 20 months is good or bad. It means now the goal is real. If you want to do it in 12 months instead, you need to save a little over $800 a month. And now you have a much better question than, why am I so bad at saving? The question becomes, where would the extra $300-ish a month actually come from? That is a solvable question. Maybe the answer is that it doesn't come from anywhere right now, and the 20-month timeline is completely fine. Maybe one big recurring expense can change. Maybe a car payment is eating way more of your monthly income than you realized. Maybe your insurance jumped. Maybe several buy now, pay later payments quietly became one permanent monthly bill. Maybe you got a raise 6 months ago, but your recurring expenses somehow got promoted too. And notice what I'm not telling you to do. I'm not about to hunt down the $4 coffee and put it on trial. Small spending matters because small spending becomes big spending when it happens constantly. But if you're trying to create $300 of permanent breathing room, one structural change that saves $300 every month is much more powerful than making yourself win 75 tiny arguments every month. The best place to look first is usually the stuff that keeps coming back automatically. So here's the first thing I'd actually do. Open your bank or credit card activity and look at the last 2 or 3 normal months, not the fantasy month where you cooked every meal, nothing broke, nobody had a birthday, and you apparently spent Saturday night staring peacefully at a wall. Look at what actually came in, what actually went out, and roughly how much was consistently left after normal life. You don't need a perfect spreadsheet with 47 color-coded categories. You need a useful estimate of how much money your current life can reliably produce for savings. Then divide $10,000 by that number. If it's $500 a month, 20 months. If it's $300, a little over 33 months. If the timeline is slower than you want, now you know the size of the gap you're trying to solve. Your $10,000 goal needs math, not guilt. If you like money explained this way, where it actually connects to your paycheck instead of feeling like finance homework, that's what this channel is built for. Now, there's a second problem because even if the math works, the money still has to survive payday. And payday does something weird to your brain. Your checking account has been limping around for a week, then suddenly your paycheck lands and the balance looks healthy again. You feel slightly richer for about 6 hours. Then groceries happen, you order something because work was exhausting, you remember the thing sitting in your Amazon cart, you go out Saturday, you fill up the car, and none of those purchases feels like the one that destroyed your savings plan. That's because usually there isn't one purchase. The $500 you technically could have saved is sitting in checking, mixed together with everything else. It has no label. Your brain does not look at a $2,000 checking balance and think, excellent, exactly $250 of this belongs to future me, 187 is reserved for groceries, and 43 is emotional support money for Tuesday. It mostly sees $2,000. That's why saving whatever is left at the end of the month is such a fragile system. You're asking future you to make 20, 30, maybe 50 decent spending decisions and somehow protect the same money the entire time. Instead, once you know a realistic savings amount, move it early. Not an aggressive number you found in a motivational video. The number you just proved your cash flow can actually handle. Say two people each get a $2,000 paycheck. Person A leaves the full $2,000 in checking and plans to save $250 later. 2 weeks pass, and now there are $74 left. Nothing dramatic happened. Life just absorbed the money. Person B gets the same paycheck, but $250 automatically moves to savings right away. Now, every normal decision is made while looking at $1,750 instead. Same income, same savings capacity, different order. And that order matters because one version requires discipline over and over again. The other version requires one decision, then lets the system handle it. Saving is not just a spending problem, it's a timing problem. If saving only happens when the month goes perfectly, you don't have a saving system. You have a good month system. The practical move is simple. Once you know what you can realistically save, set an automatic transfer around payday or right after predictable income arrives. If you get paid every 2 weeks, maybe the monthly goal gets split between two paychecks so the hit feels smaller. Keep enough in checking for bills that are about to clear, obviously. The point is not to automate yourself into an overdraft. The point is to stop leaving future money inside the same pile you use for current spending. If your income changes from month to month, you don't have to pretend you have a perfectly stable salary. Your rule can change with the payment. Maybe stronger months get a bigger transfer and weaker months get a smaller one. There is no magical percentage that works for everybody. The useful rule is the one you can repeat without constantly transferring the money right back. So now the money exists, and we've actually moved it into savings. Problem solved, right? Not quite, because this fixes the money that never makes it into savings. It does not fix the much more annoying problem, the money that gets into savings and then keeps coming right back out. This is where a lot of people get trapped between $1,000 and $2,000 for years. You finally build your balance to $1,700. Then registration is due, then you need tires, then there's holiday travel, then an annual subscription renews, then your insurance bill shows up. You look at the savings account 3 months later and congratulations, you have recreated $900 for the 5th time. Some of those things genuinely are emergencies. If your transmission dies out of nowhere or you have a real medical emergency, yes, savings may need to do its job. That is literally part of why cash savings exist. But a surprising amount of the stuff that destroys our emergency savings was never truly unexpected. It was just not monthly. Car registration is not a surprise. December has been arriving on schedule for a while now. Tires eventually wear out. Annual subscriptions are extremely committed to the annual part. And if you know a bill is coming eventually, that money isn't really long-term savings. It's future spending waiting for a date. That changes the way you should look at your $10,000 goal. Your checking account has one job, current life. Then you need some way to hold money for expenses you already know are coming. And then your $10,000 savings goal needs its own job. You do not need 12 bank accounts named things like Vehicle Maintenance Reserve Alpha. You just need to stop making one savings balance, pretend that every dollar inside it has the same purpose. Here's an easy example. Say your car insurance costs $900 every 6 months. If every 6 months you pull $900 straight from your $10,000 goal, it feels like a financial emergency twice a year. But you already know the bill exists. 900 divided across 6 months is about $150 a month. Same bill, same amount of money, completely different effect on your savings progress. Or maybe you have a $600 expense that comes once a year. That's roughly $50 a month. When you turn a future bill into a monthly amount, it stops sneaking up on your savings. You're not making the expense cheaper, you're making it less destructive. So open your calendar or look back through your bank history and find a few expenses that do not happen every month but absolutely do happen. Insurance renewals, registration, annual subscriptions, planned travel, holiday spending, car maintenance you already know is coming. Estimate what each one will cost, then divide that by the number of months you have before it arrives. That money belongs to future spending. It should not be counted as progress toward your $10,000. You can separate it physically with another savings bucket if your bank makes that easy, or just track it clearly somewhere else. What matters is that when the bill comes, you know which dollars are supposed to pay it. And this is the part that usually changes the whole experience of saving. Before, your savings balance might look like a saw blade. 300, 900, 1500, back to 600, then 1200, then 400. Constant movement, almost no visible progress. Once predictable expenses stop raiding the same pile, the line has a much better chance of actually moving in one direction. Now put the three pieces together. First, figure out how much room your real life can sustainably create. Second, capture that amount near payday instead of hoping it survives the month. Third, separate predictable future spending from the money you're actually trying to accumulate. That's the path: capacity, capture, protection. And there's one important warning here. $10,000 is not a sacred number that should never be touched, and it is not automatically the smartest first priority in every possible financial situation. If you have a genuinely urgent expense, savings exist to help you. And if you're carrying extremely expensive debt, your priorities may need to look different. The point here is simpler. If $10,000 is your cash goal, stop letting predictable problems inside your system make that goal impossible to hold on to. Because once these pieces work together, saving stops depending so much on whether you had a good month. You don't need 12 months where nothing breaks, nobody travels, no bill surprises you, and you somehow become a different human being who feels zero desire to spend money. You need a setup that expects real life to happen. So before your next paycheck, calculate one number. How much can you reliably move toward $10,000 every month without immediately needing to pull it back? Start there, automate it, then find the next predictable expense that could attack that progress and give that expense its own plan. Stop asking why you keep restarting. Find what keeps resetting you. Once you know whether the break is in your capacity, your timing, or your protection, saving $10,000 stops feeling like a test of willpower and starts looking like a system you can actually fix. And if you want more money decisions explained for people with normal paychecks who just want more control, stability, and options, that's what Leon Knows Money is here for.